Junpei at the time that it sounded somewhat strange, but he didn't press the issue. He hadn't done so because there was something that struck him as even stranger. That was the mystery of the relationship between Snake and Clover. For some reason, they had been abducted from the same room and woken up in the same room. Junpei looked at them thoughtfully. So what's the deal with the two of you, anyway? It was Clover that answered. Clearly, she felt she had nothing to hide. We're siblings. Siblings? Yeah? Snake is my older brother, obviously. That means I'm his little sister. That really so hard to understand? Junpei was taken aback. The others seemed just as surprised. She is correct, of course. He laid his hand on Clover's shoulder. Are you surprised? Well, yeah, but... Why? There are other people here with connections to one another. Those two, for instance. Snake pointed at Junpei and June. Oh, you mean between Jumpy and me? Ah, yeah. You did say you were childhood friends, didn't you? You went to school together? Yeah. June glanced at Junpei, uncomfortable with the sudden attention. Junpei felt somewhat nervous as well, and tried to scratch his head as casually as possible. Hey, you think maybe we could figure out who Zero is this way? Yeah, you're right. You connect the dots between the victims, and that leads you to the perp. Textbook. Junpei, June, does any of this ring a bell? Ring a bell? They looked at one another, and like it was staged, they both tilted their neck at the same time. Or perhaps you went to school with the son of a multi-millionaire. A millionaire? Son? Well, someone bought this boat and set up all of this. Whoever Zero is, they must be incredibly rich. Well, we can't be sure of that. To me, it seems as though it's the work of an organization, not an individual. Zero is most likely simply the representative of a larger group. What sort of organization? Could be a number of things. An army, perhaps, or a research group. Perhaps this is all some sort of psychological experiment. If it is, then it's pretty fucked up. I mean, come on, a guy's dead. Oh god, the word dead hung in the air, heavy and ominous. The room was quiet again. I don't know who the hell this Zero asshole is, but I know for sure he's gotta be a pretty fucked up guy. If this was all one guy, then he's got some serious issues. There's just so many questions and no answers right now. Even with this spectre of death hanging over them, their discussions continued for some time. In the end, however, they learned nothing. Great! Oh, you're fucking with me! By the time they finished, 1.5 of their 9 hours were gone. All they had to show for it was impatience. Man, look, we've only got 7.5 hours left, okay? You really sure you want to just sit around? No one was willing to argue this time. Very well then. There's only one way for us to proceed. Sure not gonna be fun running around knowing we gotta jump when Zero says jump. But stupid to just sit around here doing nothing. Thanks to Snake's card, at least we have some idea of how this all works. Correct, and so long as we follow the rules, we will most likely be alright. But what? Who's gonna go in which door? June looked toward the numbered doors. Oh yeah, that's right. We can't have any more than 5 people in one door. All 8 of us can't go in the same door. Then it would seem we would have to split up. Wait, Lotus looked terrified. I'm telling you now, there's no way in hell that I'm going into door 5. Come now, don't be selfish. Call me whatever the hell you want, I'm not going in there. If I'm going to have to walk through all that blood, then I'd rather stay here. We were doing so well. Ace shook his head sadly. Sorry, but I ain't going in there either. Someone else can go into door 5. Ah, Santa, not you too. Hey man, I just bought these shoes. If you think I'm getting some creepy dude's blood all over them, you got another thing coming. That was the last straw. What the hell, man? Weren't you the one who kept saying we should get going? Yeah, so? Doesn't mean I want to go into door 5. Oh, God. There was an awkward silence. Finally, Seven spoke. Fine, I'll go into door 5. I can't go in there alone, though. Anyone else wanted to come with me? There was another long silence. This time, Snake was the one to break it. I'll go. What? Don't worry, you'll be fine. We may part now, but I'm certain we'll meet again later. How do you know that? Because I do. That's not an answer. If you're going, then I'm going too. I'm going into door 5. What am I going to do with you? There's nothing you have to do. Ace stepped forward. If I join you, the problem is solved, correct? 7 is 7 and Snake is 2. If you had Clover's 4 and my 1, the digital route would be 5. Yeah, it works out. Ah, it works perfectly. The 4 of us can go into door 5. Wait. What about the other 4? What's their digital route gonna be? Junpei did a quick mental calculation. No, I didn't. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei remained. Their bracelets numbers were 8, 3, 6, and 5. 11, 17. Hold up. Yeah, 17, 22. So that would make me 4. He repeated what he determined. It's 4. Add up our bracelet numbers and the digital route is 4. Then we can go into door 4. Yeah, that worked out well. Junpei ran over the team assignment in his head one more time. 4 people go into door 5. 7, Snake, Clover, and Ace. 4 people go into door 4. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei. Junpei had to ask himself if the teams were what he really wanted. Beyond door 5 was what remained of the 9th man. He never wanted to see that thing again, but something in him said it would be unwise not to examine the corpse even a little closer. Of course, he went through door 5. He wouldn't be going with Lotus and Santa. True, it would be possible for him to bring June with him through door 5, but that would mean she would have to see the horrific carnage that awaited there. Junpei didn't want that. Junpei was torn. Should he stay silent and go through door 4? Or should he stop them and insist on door 5? As he turned his options over and over in his mind, Ace spoke up. Alright then. It seems we've reached a conclusion. Shall we go? He began to walk towards door 5. Clover and Snake followed with 7 and a short distance behind. Junpei. Which door do you want to go through? 5. Hey, wait! Junpei's cry echoed across the room. The 4 people walking toward the door stopped and turned back toward him. want to go through door 5 too. The words were scarcely out of his mouth when June spoke up. What? What are you saying, Jumpy? If you're going through that door, then I'm going with you. He turned around to look at her. No, you can't. I can't take you with me. Why? Wait, well, you know what's in there, don't you? Are you sure you want to see that? June opened her mouth as if to say something, but instead closed it again and looked at the floor. Junpei felt an ache in his chest at her clear distress, but the choice was not his to make. There was nothing else he could do. Junpei turned away from June, doing his best to silence the turbulent emotions. Please, let me go into door 5. Seven scratched his head and looked at the young man. Man, now we're right back where we started, you know that? Junpei's bracelets is 5, right? If we are going to add Junpei then, we must subtract 5 from the rest of us. Snake turned to Ace. Ace, please take good care of Clover. Oh, alright. That's fine. 1 plus 4 equals 5. Don't go away! You need to listen to me, Clover. Go to door 4 with the others. No! Don't be so selfish. Snake's tone was harsh. Tears welled up in Clover's eyes. She bit her lip and did her best to fight them off. Snake's expression softened, and he put his arms around Clover. He held her close and whispered into her ear. You'll be fine. Just relax. It looked as though he whispered 2 or 3 more words, but whatever they were, Junpei didn't hear them. He couldn't help but wonder what the other man had said. Snake pulled back from his sister, his eyes kind and inquiring. Okay, I understand. Her voice was barely audible from where Junpei stood. Before long, new teams were assembled. Those going to door 5. 7, Snake, and Junpei. 7 plus 2 plus 5 equals 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. Those going to door 4. Lotus, Santa, June, Ace, and Clover. 8, 3, 6, 1, 4, 22. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 7, Snake, and Junpei scanned their numbered bracelets in quick succession. The screen of the red showed 3 asterisks. Alright then, let's go. Junpei glanced around one last time, his hand resting on the lever of the red. Okay, please be careful. Concern was written plainly across her face. Junpei looked her in the eye and gave what he hoped was a reassuring nod. He pulled the lever. Oh ho ho, here we go. With the sharp clack of the lock releasing, the door swung open. Ahead of them in the small hallway were the pitiful remains of the 9th man. For a moment, Junpei froze. Try as he might, his eyes would not leave that corpse, as his feet would not leave the floor. 7 too seemed paralyzed. Snake, on the other hand, seemed unconcerned. He walked calmly down the blood hallway and only stopped when he realized his companions weren't following. Do you intend to kill me? I assume you haven't forgotten the door only remains open for 9 seconds, have you? He hadn't even bothered to turn around. His head was at most slightly cocked toward one shoulder. Junpei and 7 looked at one another, nodded, and threw themselves through the door. As they did, a cold tone sounded from the left wrist of all 3 men. Oh bollocks! 7 and Junpei looked down at their bracelets on both of them, and on Snake's a red skull had flickered to life. The detonator had begun its countdown. They had scarcely processed this information when 81 seconds. With a metallic slam, the numbered door behind them swung shut. Unless they could find a device that would deactivate the detonators on the wrists, they would not be leaving the hallway. Hey, where's the dead? The fear and urgency in Seven's face reflected what all three of them felt. Junpei spun around, searching desperately for the dead. He found it easily enough. It was on the wall next to the closed door labeled 5. I found it! Right here! Whew! As he yelled, he struck the scanner with his hand. The other two scrambled to follow suit. As soon as they finished, Snake threw the lever down. Sweet. Phew. Well, it looks like it stopped. As he spoke, Junpei wiped the sweat from his forehead with a trembling hand. Goddamn thing's gonna give me a heart attack. A muscle stood out in Seven's neck and the corners of his mouth were twitching. Junpei, are you alright? You guys okay? They could hear anxious voices, muffled but distinct, from the other side of the door. Yeah, we're fine. The detonators have been deactivated. They heard relieved sighs, and even though through the door the three men could feel the tension disperse. Alright, we're moving on. Be careful, okay? Okay. They heard footsteps moving away, and before long, they were alone again. Junpei looked around. Ow! The hallway hit a dead end, 20 or 30 feet from where they stood. A thick iron wall blocked their way. Try as they might to force it, the wall refused to move. To the left, however, a wooden door that looked positively inviting by comparison. In the middle of it was a plaque that read First Class. First class cabin, huh? Well, it seems like it. Let's have a look then, shall we? Without hesitation, Snake opened the door and stepped inside. Seven followed closely behind him. Junpei moved to follow them as well, but he stopped just short of the threshold and looked back, not knowing why. Ugh. Lying in the small hallway was a man's body, or at least what was left of it. He tried hard to avoid looking at the grisly scene, but it just wouldn't leave his mind. What had once been a man's internal organs now looked like so much vomit, as though something had chewed up and spit out the better part of his torso. It was hideous, but worse still, it was cruel. It was hard to believe that thing on the floor had once been human. The black pool of thick blood, the lumps of glistening flesh spread across the floor, the awkward twisted tangle of shredded intestines, the head wrenched to some grotesque unnatural position. The man's glasses lay next to his head. The lenses were cracked and the frame bent and distorted. This lay a bracelet, the number 9 still displayed on the face. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1, you escape from this ship. 2, your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship or detects that its wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically. Ugh. Suddenly Junpei felt his stomach convulse and a knot of muscle gripped his throat. He clapped his hands over his mouth and ran to the first class cabin. The atmosphere changed immediately. The room was gorgeous, and despite the apparent age of the ship, none the worse for wear. He looked around. Seven and Snake were nowhere to be seen. There were 2 doors on the right side of the room. He opened the one on his right and went through. On the other side of the door was a short hallway. He jogged down the hallway, opened the door at the other end, and peeked through. There they were, to his right, busy examining something. He stepped through the door and walked toward them. What's up? Now check this out. We found this thing here on the door. The red light's on. Does that mean it's locked? So I would assume. Is there any way out? We looked around a little. Nothing in this door, we didn't find anything. So you're telling me that unless we can open this door? Yes, we won't be going anywhere. Junpei stepped away from the door and looked around the room. The room they're in looked like a bedroom. He figured the room he'd originally entered was the living room or whatever passed for one on a ship. Alright, let's find a way to open this door. Come on, guys. It's fucking puzzle time. Man, it's another fucking... Man! Seek a way out. Bud. And beats. Oh man. Well, guys, that's gonna be the end of my first session into the twisted plot world ship of 999. Man, I had a lot of fun doing this. It was a lot of fun. It's really late here, so that's why I kind of had to calm my voice down a bit at the end. But I'm pretty sure next session we're going to be getting more into voices and stuff. Because, you know, I love them voices. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, guys. And I hope you did too. I hope the narration wasn't boring or breaking of the game's atmosphere or anything like that. You know, I was really into it. I loved it. I was so on edge and stuff. I was really engaged in it. So yeah, I hope you had a good time and I hope you're looking forward to more. But until then, that is going to be the end of our 999 adventure. And next session we're going to be finding a way to open the door to bedroom in the first class cabin.